I give the call to the Honourable the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, it took the Albanese government 3 years to realise that Australia's living standards had dropped more than any other developed nation. It then took them 3 months to organise a meeting that would go for 3 days to ask other people what to do about it. Now, I was one of 25 people who was issued a golden ticket from the Treasurer to attend that round table. And on accepting the Treasurer's invitation, I put out 3 markers on behalf of the Coalition. If we're to deal with Australia's living standards, these 3 markers were key. Number 1, you do not raise living standards by raising taxes. Number 2, you do not raise living standards by raising the cost of doing business. And number 3, you do not raise living standards by raising the burden on future generations. Now, for those with even the smallest of knowledge, those who know the bare basics of economics would see these markers as self-evident truths. And yet Labor's round table defied all 3. The outcome of Labor's round table is higher taxes, higher costs of doing business and a higher burden on future generations. And so let me be very clear. The Coalition did not agree to the outcomes of Labor's round table, and the Coalition did not agree to the principles against which this government wants to raise taxes for everyday Australians. Now, as I reflect, albeit only 1 week after the round table, I realise this was less a productivity round table and more a socialist summit. What we saw was an unholy trinity of big government, big unions and big superannuation funds. This is the plan of the Albanese government, to basically concentrate the power of these 3 to expand the tentacles of government into the lives of everyday Australians. It is Labor which sees government at the centre of Australian society. It is the Coalition that believes that the centre of Australian society should be the Australian people. And now, in its 4th year, the Australian people are starting to feel the real symptoms of a government that puts itself at the centre and not the people. And the Australian people are feeling that through their everyday living expenses. It's why we even heard this week that since Labor has come to government, the cost of electricity has gone up by 39%. 39%. The cost of gas has gone up by over 38%. Over 38%. Now, we had asked this very week the Treasurer. Today, the Shadow Minister asked the Minister for Climate Change and Energy an explanation as to why these energy costs are going up, but the government cannot answer the question. It is a direct consequence of government policy. And it's the Australian people who are paying the price, because this is a government that puts itself at the centre and not the Australian people. Now, of course, the Treasurer claims that this government has done a wonderful job when it comes to interest rates. However, the average mortgage holder today is paying $1,800 more in interest payments every single month since Labor has come to office. As of today, $1,800 more every month in interest payments, and that is just the average mortgage holder. Why? Because this government cannot manage money. This government cannot manage the economy. The thing is, Deputy Speaker, it's not just the pain of the Australian people today, but we know this government is quickly racing the debt to $1 trillion. $1 trillion. By their own estimate, it will hit $1.2 trillion by the next election.
Labor's debt.
This is Labor's debt, which will be left to the next generation of Australians to pay off.
Fact check.
Our children and theirs will pay the price of this government's debt. Their plan is 10 years plus of deficits. And why? Well, it comes down to one reason. This government cannot stop spending. They're on a spending spree. We know that spending as a percentage of GDP has gone from 24% up to 27%. In this financial year, they are spending $160 billion more than what the coalition spent in our last budget. They just can't help spending. Now, I raised this at the round table. And made it crystal clear that the government has to stop spending. The Treasurer didn't like that.
I bet he didn't.
It smashed his glass jaw.
Crystal.
And you could feel it, his ego going everywhere, slashing anything in its wake. So upset he was about his spending spree. But it has to stop. It has to stop. The recommendation that I made on behalf of the coalition at the round table was that the government adopts some fiscal rules, some discipline to contain the Treasurer's spending. Do you think the Treasurer accepted the idea of rules? Did you know since the Hawke government, every single government has adopted fiscal rules for their Treasurer, except the Albanese government? And when we put it to the Treasurer this week, would he introduce fiscal rules? He doesn't want to introduce fiscal rules. When we put it to the Prime Minister, will he rein the Treasurer in? Is he strong enough to do that? If every Prime Minister since Hawke has been able to apply some discipline on the Treasurer, will this Prime Minister do it? No.
If there's rules, he can't get to 27%.
No.
They're addicted to
They don't want rules. They are addicted to spending. Who wants rules when you just want to spend? And that's what the Candyman wants to do. He is a big spender. So there are no rules. But then, hang on, under pressure, because I'm not the only one calling for rules, by the way. Ken Henry has called for rules. Philip Lowe has called for rules. The chief economist KPMG, the chief economist AMP. I mean, they're all calling for rules. And under pressure, the Treasurer came out and said, you know what, he's now got a rule. The rule is he is going to bank most of the upward revisions to revenue. So in other words, when revenue comes in that's unexpected, he's going to bank most of it. In other words, he's only going to spend up to half of it. So I thought I'd check this out, Deputy Speaker. So I looked at the Treasurer's own budget figures, and you wouldn't believe what it tells us. This financial year, right, the upward revision for revenue is $7 billion. So guess how much of the $7 billion the Treasurer is planning on banking? None. He's actually going to spend $7.2 billion of the $7 billion. So the very week he fabricates a rule, actually he breaks it. This is the problem we have, you see, Deputy Speaker. We have a government that cannot control spending. And that is why they call him King Tax-a-Lot. King Tax-a-Lot and the Knights of the Round Table, creating ideas so they can take those ideas to be considered by the nitwits of the cabinet table.
Okay.
And there's only one set of ideas.
Now. Order. I have been listening to a number of these imaginative names that you are making up for people who sit in the parliament. You know you've got to use correct titles, so let's stick to it.
Labor has one plan: increase taxes, they'd run out of money, and they're coming after yours.